Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another tips and tricks video for Golf Blitz. Today, we will be continuing in our progression through the sequential different courses and tours that we have here, and that brings us to the Stony Land tour, or tour number 12. Now, in case you're also unaware, we have had the addition of a new power-up recently, and that is the Vampire Ball. We won't be seeing it today because my alternate account is not up at a high enough level, but just know that it can put you in a little bit of a pickle, as the way that it's intended to work is to drain the elixir from your opponents, but it will also pull their ball closer to yours until your ball stops moving, at which point the power-up does expire. So just kind of keep that in mind, that you can get in a sticky situation either by having your elixir sapped or by drawing your opponent closer to the objective, or occasionally rolling them into the hole, because I have seen that happen as well. So just kind of play around with that and come up with a couple of strategies that are going to make that work in your favor. And right before we jump into the Stony Land demonstration, make sure to check and see if you are subscribed to the channel. If you're not, go ahead and fix that for me real quick, as you'll benefit from the daily variety content that I have coming to you. And if you find today's video helpful, interesting, and or enjoyable, make sure that you hit that like button. So let's jump into the Stony Land. So first up, we have a hole that's actually fairly straightforward, and you're going to want to take a shot up here onto the gooey substance that's on this first rotating platform, follow that up with a second one, and then you'll want to try and take that final shot over towards the edge. Now, you may be able to circumvent that first platform if you have a stronger ball such as the Super Ball, but if you're unable to do so, it's not the end of the world, because at the end of the day, it is a relatively short shot from one spinning platform to the next. Now, this is another one that can be kind of interesting, mainly based off of how it's meant to work, and you may be able to get up into this crevice without having too much of an issue. If you have some of the other power-ups, again, the Super Ball may be able to get you there right off the start, but I would advise against using power-ups such as the anti-grav ball, because it's going to put you in a position where you can't get that secondary follow-up shot into the channel that takes you down to the actual green. And then this hole is another one that can be pretty fun. I recommend taking a shot as quickly as you can over here. That'll get you on to the gooey substance there. I don't recommend going up and over, as I haven't really seen that pan out in anyone's benefit really. So just kind of hitting onto this green. If you have your own gooey ball, you can just kind of stick to the green right around the standard. Or if you don't, I would recommend banking off of this back area right here, this slope, because that will give you a better chance of rolling down into the hole and taking the advantage or lead over your opponents. Just make sure that you're not coming in too hot if you do go for that type of approach. Now, I wasn't anticipating to commentate that, but as you can see, you can take the Super Ball straight past those rotating platforms if you time that shot correctly. So if you have that, you may as well go for it, because it's going to put you in a very advantageous position. This is a hole that can be kind of tricky. Now, if you want to play it absolutely safe and you have access to the gooey ball, by all means go for it. But if not, you can just kind of keep in mind where the gooey portions are kept, and that will give you a great opportunity to make sure that you land on that platform in order to make it up to the top, because there's not really a whole lot of better options, and unless you have a lot of power, it's not even worth your time sticking to the opposite wall and then aiming for the putting green afterwards. So this hole is actually really cool, and if you're quick enough and accurate enough, you can actually take a shot right over the top of that platform, which is going to give you a massive advantage against your opponents, because otherwise they're going to run into that platform or get dumped off to one side or the other. And if you can get a shot right off the start, then you are in an extremely advantageous position to take a win on that hole. Now this hole is actually one of my favorites in this course, and that's because you can often take your opponents off guard by taking a shot down to this lower platform, and if you can end up here, that gives you a straight shot over to the green. The otherwise intended method is by going over to this sand trap, bouncing back over to the side, and then coming backwards. But if you can take that shot that's a high bank all the way down to that bottom sand trap, then you're going to have a lot easier of a time. Granted, it does require a bit of higher accuracy for you to get that, but if you can take advantage of that shot, you're going to have a very easy time dispatching your opponents. So this hole is actually a very interesting one. I don't have the best setup for it now, but what you may want to do is take an initial higher shot or quicker shot onto that platform before it rotates, unless you have the super ball, because if you have the super ball, you can time it just right and skirt past that rotating platform up to the higher edge and save yourself a stroke and get closer to the goal and really take advantage of your opponents on that hole. So this hole is another one that can be tricky but also fun. I've found it best to try and aim for this section right here, because that gives you a very nice follow-up down to the green, especially if you have a high accuracy item such as the sniper or laser balls you just kind of saw me demonstrate there. And if you're on that edge and you get hit by one of your opponents, you're more likely to drop down onto the green, which gives you a better chance of a follow-up. So this hole, you have to be a little bit more cautious about, because as you can see, there's this rotating block that if you go too soon, it's going to knock into your ball and keep you from landing on this platform, which is ultimately the spot that you want to be in. From there, I recommend taking a section shot over to that sand trap, doubling back over to this one that's further down on the right-hand side. But if you do have the gooey ball, you may be able to stick to this slanted platform and give you a more direct line of access down to the actual green. But other than that, it's fairly straightforward once you get around to the rotating block. Well, I think that I've covered just about everything that I wanted to in the Stony Land tour, but do you feel like there's anything that I missed? If you do, please let me know in the comments down below, as I like to address those type of corrections if there are any in the start of a future episode. But I want to thank you for taking some time to watch today's video. If you enjoyed, please feel free to leave that like, and I hope to see you in a future episode or another video on my channel. And with that, I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.